Congratulations! You've connected with the Pulpit Perspectives podcast. Join Reverend Doctor Kent Lundy as he connects with pastors where they preach, literally at the pulpit of their church. It's a point of view with purpose and personality that informs and inspires with real life stories from great preachers you need to know. Your host is Reverend Dr. Kent Lundy. Let's join Kent at a pulpit with a fresh perspective from his guest preacher.
Hello and welcome to Pulpit Perspectives podcast. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Kent Lundy. Pulpit Perspectives podcast exists to create connections among clergy of the North District of the Indiana Annual Conference and their congregations. I'm coming to you from Munster Ridge, United Methodist Church's sanctuary in Munster, Indiana. I'm standing here at the pulpit with their senior pastor, Reverend Denise Robinson. Denise, welcome to Pulpit Perspectives podcast.
Thank you, Kent.
Thank you. So how long have you been the pastor of Munster Ridge United Methodist Church?
Oh, just about a month now.
Just about a month now. Okay. Still in the honeymoon.
I guess, if that's what you call it, yes.
Okay. And where were you prior to coming here?
I was in Indianapolis on the east side at Irvington United Methodist Church.
Irvington. And how long were you there?
5 years.
5 years. Okay. So what do you do for fun?
Well, I have 2 dogs, and so they entertain me. And I've been known to play guitar, keyboards. I enjoy music and reading. So that pretty much takes up my spare time.
Okay. Any particular genre of reading?
I'll read just about anything. I enjoy historical fact, and so I have a lot of history books, but I've also been known to go to science fiction and fantasy on occasion, so it's a broad range of interest.
Very nice. All right. So who are you, Mary or Martha?
I'm probably Mary. I am more the type that I love to learn. In fact, after seminary, I took a year and then enrolled back in the DMin program at CTS. So I'm getting my doctorate, or working towards it anyway. I did not enjoy cleaning the house or cooking or any of those domestic chores, so that would not put me in the Martha category.
There you go. There you go. It works. I get it. Yeah. All right. So what is your favorite church season?
Oh, that's difficult. You know, it's interesting from a congregant standpoint. Before I went into ministry, I would have said Advent. As a pastor, I'm not so sure when it comes to Advent. As a pastor, I tend to enjoy the slower times when the church can kind of take a breath and maybe spend a little more time in a interesting Bible study or in some way to connect with the community. And so I've come to enjoy more those ordinary times.
Yeah, you're right that the Advents and the Lents are so packed full of lots of things, right? Not just from a church standpoint, from life in general. And you're right that ordinary time frees us up to do more with our schedule. Yeah. All right. Thank you. So what are you celebrating?
Oh, this has been a tough month with the move, selling the house in Indy, buying a house up here, just getting to know people. I guess right now what I'm celebrating is just the fact that I've started to settle in a little bit. I can take a breath every now and then. I'm having cottage meetings here at Ridge and getting to know the people at Ridge, and I'm finding this to be an incredibly warm and welcoming church. And so I've enjoyed that. And I'm closer to my brother, sister-in-law, my nephew, who live in Chicago.
Oh, sure.
So that's a celebration too.
Yeah, absolutely. Just right next door.
Right.
Okay, good. So what's your one go-to Bible verse?
If I guess the one that's on my phone and in my office, displayed in my office, would be Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. To trust in the Lord with your whole heart and don't lean on your own understanding, right? Because I tend to be the type of person that I'm very goal-oriented. And so I see an objective And I begin to think of ways to take that, to make that happen. And sometimes I forget to not trust so much in myself, but to learn to lean into God's understanding. And that's been a lifelong journey for me, a learning path that I haven't quite even made it there yet, but I'm still in the process.
So what I hear you saying with that Bible verse is that it slows you down, or it reminds you should maybe slow down and not rush to get the task done, but to enjoy the journey. Is that?
It slows me down, and it helps me remember that there are others who are called to make this journey with me. So while I pastor a church, part of their faith is being part of the journey as well. And so I need to remember that and not be so oriented to leading that I forget sometimes to follow.
Okay. The collaborative effort as well, that we're in this together, and we're all leading each other, and we're all following each other together. And yes, okay. I like it. Thank you. Okay. So who inspired your call to ministry?
I would have to say if I were to name a primary person, it would be my Aunt Evelyn. My aunt, I was not close to her growing up. She's my dad's sister. But at a time in my life when I had turned away from the church and was searching, this was my early years as an attorney. And so I was looking to settle into what my life would be like from that perspective, from a career perspective. I happened to need a place to live, and so I moved in with my Aunt Evelyn, who happened to be the Reverend Evelyn Myers, pastor of a United Methodist church just north of Fort Wayne. And so at that time, I had no grounding in Methodism, had never heard of John Wesley, grew up in a Baptist home, and she introduced me to Wesleyan, to the Wesleyan theology that led with Scripture, but also told me that I could use my head and I could question. In fact, encouraged me to question. And that's not something that I had grown up with. And so she really opened my eyes to the Wesleyan, I guess, theology, and then also I ended up joining her church, and that's what led me into the United Methodist Church. And then she later encouraged me to consider ministry. Now, it wasn't until years later that I actually made that leap, but she was the beginning.
What a gift she was and is. Yeah. We're exactly north of Fort Wayne.
She was, at the time that I moved in with her, she was in Albion at Asbury United Methodist Church. She had served, actually over here, she had served at Hobart and Wheeler and North Judson, and then moved over to Northeast Indiana. That was when Indiana, the conference, had the two conferences, North and South.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. I know that area over east well. So that's, yeah, good to make that connection. So who or what keeps you humble?
I think I tend to sometimes get in my own way. I think I do a pretty good job of keeping myself humble.
All right. When I
don't need help. Particularly, I'm pretty good at it myself. When I open my mouth and then, what did I say? And why did I say that? But it has been, especially in the course of my career as a trial lawyer. Trial lawyers are not by nature humble. Trial lawyers are pretty egotistical, especially in the courtroom. You almost have to have some of that because you have to believe in yourself and your abilities. But at the same time, I recognize that so many things in my life would never have happened, could not have happened by my own, I guess, intellect or force of will or whatever. It had to come from a higher power and others who have connected with me. And I can't take credit for it.
Yeah. Humbling, but also shaping you into a better person.
Yes.
And molding you, and is what I hear you say, reading between the lines. So, nice. So if you only had one preacher to listen to the rest of your life, who would that one preacher be?
Boy, that's a tough question, because I've had some great pastors who weren't necessarily the most effective preacher. I think preaching and pastoring, sometimes they go hand in hand, but often they don't. Some of the most caring, loving pastors I've had have not been what I would call a force in the pulpit, right?
Sure.
But I guess if I were to say somebody from the pulpit that I could listen to, I would probably pull back to when I was attending Castleton. Bert Kite was the pastor there. I wouldn't exactly say that Bert was dynamic in the pulpit, but it was obvious when he preached that he believed in what he was saying, he lived what he was saying, and he cared about the message and the people that he was preaching to. And that came across, whether I particularly cared for the sermon topic that week or whether I didn't. Those things, that authenticity came across in his preaching.
Sure.
And that's important to me. I try to model that when I preach. I may not always be the most effective preacher. Sometimes what comes out of my mouth isn't what I intended or put on the page, but I'm trying to communicate some truth that I really believe in.
Sure. All right. Bert Kite, got it. All right. So just pretend with me for this next question. All right. Just humor me. Okay. You've decided to go axe throwing. Okay. So just humor me. All right. That's not up for debate. You've decided, yep, I'm going to go axe throwing. Who from the Bible are you taking with you to go axe throwing with?
Oh, probably David. Because if he can hit a giant with a little stone, he can probably throw an axe. So I'm probably going with somebody who have faith that's going to hit the target. I mean, I remember Peter, when he drew his sword, he cut off somebody's ear. That's not exactly what I would be going for in an axe throwing contest.
Yeah, I can picture Peter saying, "Oh, wait, there's your ear laying on the floor. I missed." Yes, but David, I hear you saying he would have the precision,
yes,
and the ability, and that with David as your partner, you would run the tables.
I could just sit back and let him take care of it, because if I'm thinking about me axe throwing, I know only an older audience would appreciate this, but I think of the old Johnny Carson episode when Ed Ames threw the axe and hit part of the body. That would be more like me.
Well, yeah, entertaining. Yes, okay, yeah, all right. David, the axe throwing partner, got it. So, what do you hope your fellow clergy know when you think about your clergy colleagues, whether you know them, directly and intimately or just in general? What do you hope your fellow clergy know?
Well, I've had the fortune of meeting a couple of them from Hammond and Gary, and very much enjoyed meeting them and scheduling some times when we're going to just have breakfast together or lunch together. I hope they know that, or would know that, I bring a passion for mission that is truly connectional, that I am actively looking for where can we partner with other pastors and churches to do the best that we can do in our communities. I think that each church has its own identity and its own kind of passion for ministry. And I think if we can tap in and work together, we can really make a difference that maybe we can't individually. So I believe in collaboration, and I believe in joining together and not in competing against one another, but in lifting one another up.
Okay. And you want them to know that they can count on you to be that collaborating force, and you're rolling up your sleeves to be a partner with them, however you can, for as long as you can.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, last question, and I appreciate your time. I'm going to give you 3 words. Okay. So what 3 words come to mind when you think about your future here at Munster Ridge United Methodist Church?
3 words here. I think it starts with, one word that I would use is scripture. I've stressed since I've been here the importance of starting a pastor's Bible study, for example. I believe that time, that builds disciples. We're called to go make disciples. To make disciples, we have to first be disciples. Community is another word that I would stress. Is Ridge UMC truly part of the Munster community? If not, what do we need to do to connect with the community? And then gospel, spreading good news through mission, through what we do, not just what we say, but what we do in the community that challenges each person that's part of this church to find something that they can do to give to others.
Scripture, community, and gospel. Well, that will be my hope and prayer as I think about your future as pastor here at Munster Ridge United Methodist Church.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for being a guest on Pulpit Perspectives podcast. Thank you. Thank you. Well, this has been Pulpit Perspectives podcast, coming to you from Munster Ridge United Methodist Church, standing with their pastor, Reverend Denise Robinson, here in her pulpit. So Pulpit Perspectives podcast exists to create connections among clergy of the North District and their churches. If you would like to learn more about all the great things that God is doing in the North District, I would invite you to find them on Facebook, and you can also check out the Indiana Annual Conference website at www.inumc.org. You'll find more of the great things that's happening in the district of the North District. So this has been Pulpit Perspectives podcast. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Kent Lundy, signing off for now.
There you have it, a fresh perspective from the pulpit with a great preacher. You know you want to hear more. You can do just that by connecting with Pulpit Perspectives with Reverend Dr. Kent Lundy on Apple Podcast and Spotify, where you can like and follow the podcast. What's more, you can spread the good news about Pulpit Perspectives in your church and with your neighbors. Plan now on joining Kent at the pulpit, where you'll meet another great preacher on Pulpit Perspectives.